The only business experience I had was the work with my granddad. And to be honest, that is pretty much it.
So for people like, when you're starting out, you don't need to be an expert in business or anything like that. You can just get started off.
No, so I would say you don't need to be an expert, and I'd also say that there's definitely I think people underestimate the opportunity to take risk that you have when you're young. So going back to what I said right at the start, I managed to save, I think it was, £2,000 or whatever it was, maybe probably less than that actually. And for me, that was my life savings, and I risked everything. So that thing of, I risked my life savings to do this, but it's just nothing in comparison to the risks that, my grandparents and even my parents have taken. So, I think the opportunity to take risk as a young person is something that's definitely underestimated and just isn't being spoken about enough.
I think it's admirable that you say like it's nothing, but to a young guy, £2,000, that's your new car. Or, do you know what I mean? That's like it's a big deal to drop that much money on something that who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, but there's a saying that I've heard. I think Jordan Peterson says it, and he says, "He who has a why can bear any how." And I think that's really important because, like, fitness was my why. Like, you've got to remember that fitness completely changed my life. Going to the gym shifted everything. It shifted my physical health, my mental health. It completely shifted my academic life. It got me into sort of a university that I thought I would never be able to get near. And it gave me the opportunity to learn things such as Photoshop, Dreamweaver and all the other stuff through the skills that I'd learned in the gym. So fitness for me was like my why. It was like, I want other people to have that experience. So for me to risk what at the time was my life savings was, honestly, there was not a moment where I thought, should I or shouldn't I do this? It was just straight up, I know this is the right thing to do.
Just before we move on, the idea of you learning how to sew to make product is crazy. Just to explain it, talk us through that, sort of getting those lessons and making that decision to take that on for yourself.
So, I mean, I talk a lot actually. The stars had to align for Gymshark to get to where it is, and there's literally about 15 different unique things that just happened to happen at the time. Now, so my mum could sew, and my nan just randomly was doing a course in curtains at the time when I was looking at making this sort of stuff. So it was just the perfect time for me to learn to sew, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, even looking back, I don't know why, because sewing is not anything that it has ever been, and probably it was never of any interest to me, to be honest. It was not something that I ever wanted to do or saw myself doing, but it was a means to get to where I wanted us to be and where I wanted the product to be. So yeah, I mean, I went to Hobbycraft, I bought the sewing machine, and just, called up my nan, asked my mum, and they taught me to sew essentially. Literally just sat over the sewing machine at 19 years old, and it's only now I say this that I realise that probably most 19-year-olds weren't asking their mum and their nan to teach them to sew, probably doing things that were a lot more exciting. But yeah, honestly, I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant, and just, again, completely different, but that opportunity to create something is so important to me, whether it's an app or a website or a stringer vest or a tank top or printing the logo onto a hoodie, whatever it is, I love that feeling of making things.